We are 30 days into the year. Can you believe it? I cannot. If you're like me, we set goals 30 days ago and somehow we've just lost track of those goals. Well, today I have Tabatha Perry, life coach for the non 9 to 5er, and she helps us bring order into our chaotic lives and helps us to reduce the overwhelm of everyday life by simple life hacks and little life edits that help us focus on our outcome and getting those results. Well, if you're like me and you're like, what happened to my goals? Well, this is the conversation for you. Have a listen. Welcome to Reinventing Perspectives. Today we have an amazing guest. We have Tabatha Perry. Tabatha, thank you so much for being with us. So Tabatha, tell us, who are you and what are you about?
This is kind of fun for me because over the past 6 months, I've actually created a self-contract. So when people ask who I am, instead of saying like wife, mom, life coach, I actually get to say that I am a strong and courageous, bold, consistent child of God. And that is who I am. And so what I do is I am a life coach for the non 9 to 5er. I found that I absolutely love working with people that don't necessarily work with the typical job in a box, right? They go clock in and clock out. So that has just been a passion for me throughout my life, is working with people kind of that just do their own thing and help them create order in that, because there can be so much mess and chaos in it. And so I absolutely love creating that order in their life.
The contract with yourself. What led to that? Because that's the first time I've heard someone saying they have a contract with yourself. And I love it, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So just as I'm a life coach and encourage people to hire me as their coach, I have a life coach as well. And so they help me with business, my spiritual, emotional, physical. But that's part of being in the program is you come up with this contract. And so when you start off in every meeting, everyone types in the Zoom their contract. And it really just kind of anchors us and centers us on who we are. So then that way we can just bring our best selves.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing. A really great way to start anything off really by kind of announcing who you are. Because, a lot of times you get told, think about it, but never really announce who you believe you are. But tell us about your journey to becoming a life coach and entrepreneur. What led to that?
I'm probably like most people's stories that maybe some grew up wanting to be an entrepreneur. I actually never wanted to be an entrepreneur and didn't even like life coaches. I went to grad school and spent a lot of time and money, getting this really pretty piece of paper. And what I was doing, I realized life coaches could do. So I was a little bitter actually at first, years and years ago. It was when my husband and I were wanting to start doing premarital counseling, and our church suggested we go to these life coaches for it. And I was just like appalled. Like, how are they making that much money? How are they doing that when they haven't gone to school? Well, come to find out with my journey of the Lord just bringing people into my life that are life coaches and reading books and podcasts, is that life coaching was just so focused on helping people develop who they are and stepping into their fullest potential that I couldn't help but be excited about it, which was a little bit different than the social work degree that I had, right? So I had looked at like systems, and it's actually been really cool to marry the two of my background working in prisons, work in child welfare, working with people that have really had challenging, messy lives, and like being able to step into helping them create order. And so all that to be said, I totally judged life coaches. I didn't want to be an entrepreneur because it seemed like a lot of work. My grandfather was one. My dad didn't want to be one. And he always said, Taba, just like go to an 8 to 5 job. It'll just be way better that way. Anyhow, I decided to stay home with my girls, like be a stay-at-home mom. And that lasted for about a week. I just couldn't do it. I needed more things. So I started volunteering and working with teen moms and teen parents. And that was just such a blessing, this desire to help people move forward. I was able to mentor them to a certain degree, but I needed to be able to have a little bit more of a platform. And so we've moved a lot. I moved over 20 times. Our most recent move, I was like, we're going to be here for a little while. And so I felt this piece of being able to start something. And so I started a class on life coaching, and it totally blew my mind and was like, yes, it was finally like, this is exactly what I want to do. And I knew that there was like really no businesses that you can go and be a life coach to easily. So I had to create my own. And so that's kind of my entrepreneurial journey. Honestly, I would still love to have a boss tell me what to do because I'm a rule follower and I don't mind having the specifics, but that doesn't serve my family. It doesn't serve what God is calling me to do. And so we have to step outside of that comfort zone. So here I am, a life coach, an entrepreneur, figuring it all out and creating order out of my own mess.
You've been able to marry what you learned in social work and what you experienced with life coaching, because I feel like that gives you a big advantage too, because a lot of people come from various disciplines and get into life coaching. But I feel like if you've been dealing with people at that extreme level in social work and coming into life coaching, that must be like a piece of cake for you now.
I like to think so. It does come very naturally. It does. Put me in any social situation, and it is so fun to just engage with people and hear about who they are.
Now, since it's the beginning of the year and our audience is the early entrepreneur, I know that right now goal setting and trying to dive into the big goals that we set for the year is what is happening with a lot of us. Now, why do you think people get distracted along the way and fail to reach their goals?
Oh man, that is such a good question. And like the question that we all ask ourselves January 15th, right? We've given our goals a couple good weeks and then it's like, oh my gosh, what happened? I like to call them shiny squirrels. So basically distractions, and how when we say yes to things or no to things, it really does affect our attention span. And so making sure you're aware of what shiny squirrels your brain really, really likes. And there's like these internal ones of like self-limiting beliefs. And then there's external ones like cute little kids that are running around, obligations and responsibility. When one makes a goal, one has to be committed to it. And just like I committed to my husband 10 years ago through thick and thin till death do us part, I choose to be his wife, right? And when we make a goal, that commitment needs to be there. Otherwise, it's very, very hard to succeed at it. So what does that mean? How do you commit to something? Well, again, you have to be able to say no to some things you want to say yes to and yes to some things that you want to say no to. It's not about feeling like it, right? It's not about having it be easy. It's about doing what we're supposed to do and having self-integrity of saying, I said that I was going to do this goal. Now I'm going to do it. Now, all that's great in D&D and stuff, but we really have to get clear on what the goal is. And so I have 3 like main goals that I am working on this year. And I realized there was one that I was making more progress on, and it was because I was the clearest on it. And they talk about SMART goals, you know, all of the things that it needs to be, but really having that clearness, that clarity of how you're actually working towards the goal, not the goal itself, but your process is key to being successful at those goals.
That commitment.
Mm-hmm.
We're good at writing goals down. I feel like everybody kind of knows what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
But what really lacks is that making that commitment, like you said, that no matter what happens tomorrow, I'm still going to get up and I'm still going to do it. Oh gosh, I'm saying it, but I know when it comes to, I write down getting healthy and getting fit every year and still there's no commitment.
Right? It's so hard. It's so hard.
Entrepreneurs are like overwhelmed with the number of things you need to do. I mean, the number of new things, especially if you're a new entrepreneur. And then all the things you didn't know on top of the things that you're trying to figure out. Like, how do we edit things down and go for big results?
Yes. Well, I just want to first say that it's okay to cry. I don't know any entrepreneurs that haven't cried a little or a lot about the process. And if it were easy, everyone would do it. So being able to create these small edits are so important. And honestly, it's about giving yourself permission to not feel like you have to go big and bold. You know, you see maybe some other people that started out the same time as you, and their success is so much more how you view what success should look like. And that's not necessarily your journey. And so creating these small little edits is about owning who you are, which again, creating that self-contract with yourself really helps with that. So knowing that I am strong and courageous and bold and consistent, how can I make small edits in my life that align with being strong, that align with being courageous, consistent, and bold? Some of the little things that I suggest my clients do is really, again, back to what we were talking about of being really clear of what it is that you want, and then breaking it down into a step that you could explain to your 7-year-old. So I have a 7-year-old daughter, and when I want to explain something to her, I have to really be clear about it and like what it is, like the result that I want. And so we have to do that with ourselves. We have to do that with our brain because our brain wants to be comfortable and it doesn't want to do new things. And so if we're going to do new things, let's be kind to our brain and make it. And so you're able to actually have smaller little edits to actually succeed at.
Keeping it simple so that it's something that is actionable. It totally made sense to me because it's easy to get so complex, especially with trying to manage your business. You're going to do this, and then this is going to work with that, and then you've got to try to add this, and then it becomes this document that you can't really action it. Mm-hmm. But when you just edit everything to a simple statement, what are you really trying to do? Then it becomes actionable, and it's not so overwhelming anymore, like this long list of things that have to happen and this domino effect that has to happen. So definitely, that's a very great tip. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
You talk a lot about creating order in life. What has been your experience, even as you started out as a life coach? I'm sure managing clients and managing a business at the same time.
Lots of tears, again. And a lot of trial and error. Now, as a perfectionist, I don't like to fail. And it has been a lot of growth for me to try new things. And so creating order means there's going to be a mess, right? Like even when I go in to organize my closet, there has to be a mess first, right? I'm taking things off of the hangers. I'm going through my drawers, kind of throwing it all into a pile. Now, once I get the pile out, man, there's just this beautiful order, but there's a mess there. And so I have, allowed myself to get messy, right? To have kind of things all over and then to take a step back and then prioritize what it is that I need to work on. So there's so many different apps, there's so many different programs, but really what we have to focus on is like, what is moving the needle to number one, help our client, but also number two, pay our bills. And so being able to prioritize those and kind of balance those out is really, really important because taking care of our clients it's very precious. God has given us an opportunity to pour into these people. And so we need to bless them as well as bless our business so we can bless others.
Such a good point. I struggled a lot, really wanting to serve so much. The emphasis was on serving to the point that sometimes I completely neglected the second part of making sure that my business was profitable.
Yeah.
And I almost felt like the two things couldn't exist together because I felt like, oh no, if I want to serve too much and I've got a heart of too much serving, maybe I'm not built for this entrepreneur stuff. Mm-hmm. Maybe this entrepreneur stuff is for like an aggressive, profit-driven person. And I'm just like over-serving and sometimes forgetting even to charge. So For me, I feel like the realization came that maybe that heart of service is exactly what is needed in an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because when you begin to look at the most successful entrepreneurs, they're not money-driven. Mm-hmm. They are really service-driven. Whatever their beliefs may be, when you boil it down, that obsession with customer is really just service. Yeah. So it took a long time to realize that, but I'm glad that you pointed that somebody out there might be listening and really struggling with balancing that serving and also being profitable part. I wonder, what was your experience with that?
Yeah, no, I'm so glad that you asked that because being a social worker, being in the helping field, that has always been my jam, right? And even before I was a life coach and I was a stay-at-home mom and volunteering, I would be on the phone with my friends for hours, pouring into them, like ultimately life coaching them. But at the time, I didn't have a label for it. And I was exhausted. So there is this balance of being a servant and pouring into others, but we also have to pour into us. And so sometimes that means being compensated for it, right? So we can actually pay our bills, which is very important. But also it gives us reassurance that we're on the right track and that we're getting the right people that are wanting to take what we have seriously, what we have to offer.
I think that Bible verse, maybe I got it wrong, but it has something to do with the worker is worthy of their wages. Anyway, I digress.
I know. I love it because we have value, right? And it's interesting. I actually was on a call with a couple of my entrepreneurial girlfriends yesterday, and we were talking about feminine and masculine energy, not the woo-woo energy, but just this idea that men are like, go hard, like push through. And women are more like calm and nurturers and servants. And so when we are able to create our business in a way that aligns with our personality, especially as Christian women, we can embrace that servanthood and have that be beautiful. But even Jesus, he took time to take rest, right? He took time to find people that poured into him to his disciples, not just him pour out. So as entrepreneurs, it's so important that we make sure that we have people pouring into us, right? We've got strong friendships. We've got mentors. We've got coaches pouring into us so we can pour equal into our clients and into our communities.
That's worth hearing and worth hearing over and over as a person who goes through the entrepreneurial journey. Now, time management. This is a a really big one for entrepreneurs, especially mompreneurs, dadpreneurs, people like yourself and myself. We're juggling many hats. How do you create an ideal schedule that doesn't overwhelm you?
Ooh, such a good question. And that
Mm.
is so personalized. So one of the really fun things that I nerd out to is schedule audits. And it's really sitting down with my client and literally going over every single thing that they do every single day. I absolutely love that. But I don't do it for myself as often as I should. Isn't that fun? Like, that's just the name of the game as a life coach, right? You're really good about helping other people do it. And then you're like, oh, I need to apply it to my life. But for my schedule, one of my hacks is transitions. So I try to limit the amount of transitions, whether it's going out of a room, leaving the house, anything that has to do with my children. I try to limit the transitions because every single time I transition, it takes 20 minutes for me to get focused again. And I'm a pretty focused person. So someone who has challenges like ADHD, and a lot of entrepreneurs have that, which is also a gift in of itself, it's really hard to get back on track. For time management, it is just really important to limit, for me, the transition. So at night, I will put my workout clothes in my bathroom. And so that way I go to one spot and I get everything done and then I leave my room. But if I have to go to my closet and then I forget that I have to go brush my teeth, but then I forgot my supplements, but I got to go back and get my socks. Like, as you can see, that can really expand your time. So when you look at it from a transition, or even just from a room perspective, like what can I do in this one room? That has been really helpful for me, as well as bookending my day. I have a time that I usually go to bed, although not last night. Priscilla called me out. Oh, that was so funny. You're like, I was really surprised when I got this email at 12 o'clock or 1 a.m. your time. I'm like, I know, I usually don't go to bed that late. But I usually go to bed earlier, like around 9. And then I get up every day at 5. So even this morning, I got up at 5 because my body likes it. I know what to do. And I don't make it a pattern of not getting enough sleep. Sleep is also essential for time management because it makes you more efficient.
Well, this is so, when you have to make so many decisions,
Oh, yeah.
you actually get fatigued early in the morning and you've got to think about, okay, what am I going to eat? Okay, what am I going to give the kids? Okay, what am I going to do now? Okay, where are my shoes? Okay, I want to work out, but which workout am I going to do? Okay, let me scroll through the workouts. And, you, by the time you do 10 o'clock in the morning, you're fatigued from doing nothing, but just thinking about what to do next. I guess, I don't know, it was called the transitions and just being prepared for what's next really, really helps with even just your efficiency. It's so difficult to find a focused time.
Yes. Oh, I completely agree. I used to be really good at it. I've gotten out of the habit. So I'm really glad that you called me out on that. And literally leave your phone somewhere else. Leave your phone in another room where you can't hear it. And I'm obsessed with timers. So I'll set myself timer, 20-minute usually increments of that focused time, whether it's going through emails, replying to things on social media, maybe 20 minutes just to sit down and read a book, because that is also very, very important for focused time, to give your brain some time to rest. And I'm like a go hard, let's do this. But my body, at 36, my body needs that rest. My brain needs that rest. I've got this temple that the Lord gave me. I'm trying to steward it well.
Hey, small business family, quick pause here. If you've been listening and thinking, I need help getting clear on my message and how to actually market this amazing thing I've created, I've made something just for you. It's called the Clarity Intensive, and it's 2 focused sessions, one-on-one, where we untangle your ideas, map out your next best move, and build a foundation for real business momentum. If you're done thinking what's the right thing to do and you're ready for a customized strategy that fits you, this is for you. You'll find the link in the show notes, or you can visit the website www.reinventingperspectives.com/shop, and you'll see our Clarity Intensive one-to-one marketing coaching. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, that's true. I also started setting the timers on social media because now I get on there to do engagement and I think I'm going to be on there for 10 minutes and it's an hour later and I'm not having a good time chatting it up with people online. What is because you talk about the importance of like morning routines and evening routines.
Yes.
Why is that so important to someone who says, oh, I'm kind of finding what I'm doing? Like, why is that so important?
Yeah. And it's totally cool to be fine. But do you want to be like excellent and efficient and, take your life to the next level, which sounds very dramatic for incorporating a morning and evening routine. But I really feel like the people that have amazing, successful lives, they have a morning and evening routine. They absolutely do. So for those that like don't have it and are like, I don't really want it, then that is totally fine. Like God gave us free will for a reason. But if your life isn't working the way that you want it to work, maybe try it out. You don't necessarily have to apply a morning and an evening routine at the same time. I actually suggest with working at the nighttime routine because that sets yourself up for success for the morning. It's just like a quicker turnaround. So for me, like I had said before, I usually don't stay up very late, except for last night, but I absolutely love going to bed. When I say go to bed, go into my room by 9 o'clock. So I had not started a show past 8:30. So blue light, all that stuff is done. I plug my phone into the charger and I have it in my bathroom. And it's in this cute little basket. That way it just stays safe from all the water that I splash and that my kids splash. And I'm done with my phone. It's on, sleep mode. I take my supplements. Like my brain doesn't have to think. You talked about decision fatigue, right? That's the benefit of morning and evening routines is that you've done it so many times. It doesn't take any thought. It doesn't drain you to figure out what do I need to do next, which is another reason why I'm kind of like a 65-year-old woman and keep all of our supplements in a little pill box, right? Like all of our grandparents can do with all their medicine. I do that because I don't want to have to think, what am I supposed to take right now? So I make all those decisions at one time. And then that way I have my pill box and then I'm able to take it at night. And so my evening routine, then I go into bed. I have cozy jammies. That's one thing that I think is really interesting is that a lot of people don't put on things that feel good at night. So be aware of your body and how you feel in your pajamas and make sure that it's enjoyable and that your bed's soft and that you actually like going to bed. Because if it's miserable, of course you're not going to want to go to bed. And so part of my evening routine then is I always read before bed and it's various books. I usually get 2 pages in and then I'm ready to sleep. And then in the morning, again, I wake up at 5, usually no matter what time I go to bed. I definitely give myself grace on days where I go to bed later, like several days in a row when I go to bed later, but I get up at 5 and again, I put my clothes in my bathroom. And so everything is just right there. I know I'm going to go do my quiet time in the morning and then I go exercise. And so it just really makes it a lot easier to not have to think about it because who wants to waste all their decisions early in the morning on things that we're technically supposed to know to do every time.
Just being that extra prepared for the day, it takes away just the chaos that can happen and the overwhelm that can just happen from just everyday routine things. So that's a really, really great tip. I know you mentioned that you read your books in the evening. So what is one of the number one books or the top books that you would recommend for an early entrepreneur?
Yes. So it's called The One Thing by Gary Keller. And he is in real estate here in the States. And he is phenomenal. There's actually another author I feel bad not giving him credit to, but Gary Keller. And it is just so good because it breaks things down into doing one thing. And as much as women, especially us, we love to say that we're good at multitasking, and we are. But it also says in the Bible, just because you can do something doesn't mean that it's beneficial. So they really talk about not multitasking, focusing on one thing, and then what happens when you really commit to that one thing. I'm also suggesting this to my clients that are working on their goals. So any entrepreneurs that are, again, working on these goals, read this book and really kind of apply the concepts to whatever like business goals that you have. The one thing that really jumped out at me from it was this normalizing that there is always going to be a mess. And as the type A personality that likes to be clean and have everything orderly, again, normalizing the mess really just helps my brain calm down. And just know that that's part of the process. Doing one thing, focusing everything means that there's going to be other things that are left to the side. And that's where you have to learn to prioritize and make sure that what you're focusing on is what you need to be focusing on.
Yeah, that sounds like an amazing book. I recently read a book, gosh, I remember even what it's called, but it was about the one word.
Oh.
I don't know if you've heard of this book. I wish I
No.
could remember, but anyway, I'll put it down in the show notes for any of the listeners who are interested. And it was about finding a guiding word for the year.
Oh, yes.
That's just one word, something that's like, the spirit of things, the way you want to move in that year, whatever you feel is, the book actually says pray about it and one word will come to you.
Yeah.
And then focus on that one word as the spirit in which you move through the year. And then next year, come up again with another, gave examples like some people find accountability. It depends on whatever it is that you feel that you're struggling with, accountability. And so in every area of your life, you'll be looking at, am I accountable with my health? Am I accountable with the way I interact with others? Am I accountable in relationships? Am I accountable at my work? So there's just like a spirit of accountability really for the year. So I thought that was really interesting. And I thought of that when you mentioned the one thing. I thought, well, if you had a one thing and a one word and you really moved with that for a year, that'd be
pretty clear.
Amazing.
You'd be, yes. Your path would be directed.
It's always good to, get different ideas from different authors and other things that people are reading. Just, you don't know what you don't know.
It's exactly. Actually, that's why I have a no guilt book club for women. And the idea is that we encourage each other to read things that maybe are a little outside of our comfort zone, right? So as a Christian, I want to make sure that I fill my mind with good things, but I also want to make sure that I fill my mind with new thoughts and new ideas and really challenge the way that I think too and align it with what the Bible says. And so creating this no guilt book club has allowed women that don't typically read or haven't read in a long time to come back to it and fill their mind with new thoughts and be able to be really excited about it.
Ah, that sounds amazing. Now, I always end with this question, Tabatha. Thank you so much for your time. I always ask, what has faith meant to you on your journey?
Ooh, man, faith. Priscilla, this is a great question. My faith has meant everything because I wouldn't even be doing this if I didn't have faith that God was teaching me or wanting me to do this, because I had a pretty sweet life before. But he wanted me to step out of my comfort zone and be able to help others step out of their comfort zone as well. And so having the faith that it's all going to work out, that even when I don't see the results that I think that I should have, that I have faith that I'm doing what God is calling me to do and that it is for his purpose and it doesn't have to make sense to me. As long as I'm obedient, that is all that matters.
It's such a good message. Thank you for that. Now, Tabatha, to our audience, where can they go to learn a little bit more about you?
So you can find me on Facebook, Tabatha Perry Life Coach, as well as on Instagram, Tabatha Perry Life Coach. And I also have a podcast called the Life Edit Podcast with Tabatha Perry.
Yes, and I went on your website and I did sign up for the Life Edit workbook, which is pretty amazing. Our audience, please do go to our website and also go to tabathaperry.as.me/consultation to get to know Tabatha and get to know what her work is about. Thank you so much for your time and thank you for the wise words and the great conversation.
Thank you, Priscilla. This was such a joy.
For more information, freebies, and clips from various episodes, please follow us on Instagram at Reinventing Perspectives or go to our website, www.reinventingperspectives.com. Thank you so much for your time. We absolutely value your time, and even more, we value your feedback. Don't forget to leave us a review. Thank you so much, and see you again next week.